So we're only waiting on Wang. Yes, sir. Step up. Okay, now step up. Together.
Yep, State Senate. Assembly.
Yeah, right here. Yeah. Okay, here. Yeah.
Should we move back?
So where's Phil? First of all, this evening, I'd like to commend the NYPD for the vigorous effort that they've utilized here in Flushing and Kissena Park to flush out the person responsible for this heinous crime. I think they deserve a great round of applause from everybody who is here.
We support NYPD!
One of the reasons that we have assembled here this evening is that we understand that in our city, in which there is so much crime taking place now, that as soon as the NYPD resolves who it is that is responsible, this monster, that they'll pack up and they'll head to the next crime scene. In fact, after this, I'll be heading to Livonia Avenue in Brownsville where the bullets are flying, and they don't have enough police there in the 73rd precinct. It's just the state that we're in. But we're not here to blame the police. There's only 32,000 police officers. They need at least 38,000 to do their job effectively. And we have a number of officials who have been elected citywide who stand for defunding the police and for no cash bail.
Whoa!
Tonight you'll be hearing from some of the candidates who are running in these elections who clearly take an opposite point of view. This is a community that has become predominantly Asian, Chinese Americans, Korean Americans, and they want this community to thrive. And they are prepared to do whatever is necessary to assist in making sure that their children and grandchildren, the elderly, the women, and the children are safe. We obviously, at this point, do not know who the culprit is. He could be anyone from somebody who lives locally in the area, could be a homeless person, maybe emotionally disturbed, maybe a migrant. But that's not the issue. Whatever it turns out he is, it's just symbolic of the growing problem that's taking place in Flushing when you go along Main Street and in other neighborhoods in the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. So everyone you see behind me here, particularly those who are running for office, want to refund the police, put the $1 billion back that de Blasio took out of the budget.
Refund the police! Refund the police!
And many of them are running for state office, state senate, state assembly, and they are going to fight to make sure that we remove this no cash bail, which has provided an opportunity for criminals to return to the streets to do it again and again and again. So what you're doing, what you're seeing behind me is the law and order slate. Unfortunately, those incumbents who are in office, as I mentioned before, have actually participated in defunding the police and in fighting for no cash bail. So it is a clear choice that the folks who are going to cast their ballots in November will have, at least on a statewide level and a citywide level. But more importantly, whenever I get involved, as I have for 50 46 years as the leader of the Guardian Angels, both here and around the world, I don't just come to complain about a situation that exists. I come with a plan. Behind me, you also see the members of the Flushing Guardian Angels. Can you raise your hand, guys?
Yeah.
So in addition to their duties on Main Street, in which they're dealing with people who are shoplifting, boosting, stealing, robbing, assaulting, which has caused a crime increase in the 109th Precinct area, they are going to put more of their energies into patrolling Kissena Park. But in the interim, over the summer, we are going to develop a parents' patrol so that when the children return in September, we will have a whole squadron of parents and grandparents who will flood the park. Because after school, the children have always used Kissena Park to play. Not just this generation, but for many, many decades. People have fond memories of going to school here and then immediately going to Kissena Park, play a little bit, go home, have something to eat, study, go to bed, and then repeat that cycle. You never heard about problems here before. It was almost non-existent. But that is the state of the city that we're dealing with. So we don't just complain, we put forward a plan. So the plan for the Guardian Angels is they will expand their patrols to Kissena Park, because we know eventually when this individual is captured, indicted, prosecuted, no matter who he turns out to be, the police will no longer be able to stay. As I said, I can't repeat it enough. There are only 32,000 cops. We should have 38,000. They're leaving early retirement. They're being recruited by other departments. And we're just not getting enough recruits to supplement those police officers who are leaving the force. So it's going to require more citizen participation, both by the Guardian Angel volunteers, which we already have in Flushing, and by this brand new parent patrol, which by September, by Labor Day, when school returns, we will be able to put into effect so that these children can be protected when they're out of school and they come into the park. Meantime, there are candidates here who represent exactly the positions that I've spoke of, the law and order slate, the quality of life slate for Kissena Park and Flushing, and most importantly reflected in them, Chinese Americans, Korean Americans, first generation immigrants who not only had to come in and earn their citizenship the hard way, but they probably know more about our American history and civics than many of those who have been born and raised in our country. And they've earned the opportunity to run for office and they want to serve the community. I want to first introduce Yatin Chu. She has been a community activist for many, many years in the forefront of issues that affect the Asian community, and she's running for the state senate. Yatin?
Yeah. Yatin!
Thank you very much for the introduction, Curtis. As Curtis said, my name is Yatin Chu, and I'm a candidate for state senate in District 11. I'm a public school parent and a mother of a 13-year-old daughter. Our kids in middle school expect and are afforded independence to travel to and from school and to hang out and explore their neighborhoods with their friends, including playing soccer at a local park. These two 13-year-olds were doing what normal kids do after school at 3 p.m. And this monster targeted them, forced them against the will to go into a secluded area with a machete and rape the young girl. This is a parent's nightmare. While our electeds celebrate progress against gun violence, we have sick people committing crimes with other weapons. This time, it was a machete. The next one could use just a broken glass bottle to threaten harm. In the past 5 years, our city suffered the consequences of bail reform, where repeat criminals continue to roam free. We've sent the message that lawlessness will be tolerated in New York. Gangs and illegal immigrants exploit this to the max. When legislators tried to push for Lakin's Law this past legislative session, which would have allowed our local NYPD to work with federal immigration officers if the arrested perp is not a US citizen, this didn't even make it out of committee. Common sense laws to protect New Yorkers are not even considered by the supermajority Democrats in Albany. This is wrong. It puts our children, our schools, and our homes in danger of people who broke laws to come into our country, our state, and our city. We must find this menace and ensure he is punished to the fullest extent of our laws.
Yes.
We need to prevent crimes by having laws with serious consequences. We need to fund our police to increase local patrols and let them do their jobs effectively.
Yes.
And sure, we can install more security cameras and use technology to help catch perps if and when crimes are committed. I am outraged that this horrific crime has made parents fearful of letting kids play. Enough is enough. We need to take back our city and save New York so kids can play at parks and playgrounds without fear of being stabbed, shot, or raped. Thank you.
Yeah. Save
Thank
New
you, yeah.
York. Save New 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 York.
Now, on this slate of GOP candidates, we have many former police officers. So when we say law and order, they may no longer be police officers, but they continue to carry on the work that they did with their badge and their gun serving the people of New York. And obviously, they'd like to be able to serve as an elected official. Running for state senate, Korean American, served in the nearby 109th precinct. I give you Kenneth Peck.
Hi, everyone. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to the victims and to their families. I'm devastated, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. As a grown adult, a member of this community, I failed to prevent safety to our youngsters. My name is Kenneth Peck. I'm a retired sergeant from New York City Police Department. I retired last year. And now I'm running for New York State Assembly District 25 here in Queens. While I was a sergeant in the police force, I realized my hands are handcuffed, my legs are shackled. I cannot effectively conduct police duties with all these rules and regulations implemented by these politicians. And these politicians have no regards to public safety, to our residents here in New York City and here in New York State. This ugly incident that took place in this park was 100% preventable. This is the byproduct of no cash bail reform, defund the police. New York City, New York State penal law, criminal law is bankrupt. All these guys are walking away from the law.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ever since I was a child, my dream was being a police officer. So I studied at John Jay College, criminal justice. I studied police science. I served 4 years in the United States Navy, active duty 4 years in Japan. And I became a police officer here. I was a detective here. I was a sergeant here. I've served my country. I have served my community. Now I want to serve my people so that I can lead them to a safer location, affordable city without fear. This is a practical problem, guys. And I'm going to fix this mess. And I was always telling my voters, don't call me on your good days. Call me on your bad days. With worries, concerns, and you got ideas to implement good ideas to my district, please bring it on. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Kenneth.
Appreciate it, sir.
Our next candidate also served in the NYPD and the United States military, running for state senate, Steve Chan.
Thank you, thank you. Hi, my name is Steve Chan. I'm a retired NYPD sergeant. And 5 years ago, like my friend here, Kenny, said, we saw the writing on the wall that this is not going to turn out well. We knew that. Any seasoned veteran in the NYPD could have told you that this was going to happen. And the writing was on the wall, so during the pandemic, I retired after serving 27 years in NYPD. Today, my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds because I am the father of two young ladies, a 14-year-old girl and a 9-year-old girl. This could have been anybody. This is preventable. It's a shame. I come from South Brooklyn today, all the way from Bensonhurst, to bring the voice of our community in support of the victim here and their family. I am running for New York State Senate District 17 in South Brooklyn. My name is Steve Chan. I love this country too. Also an immigrant. I love this country so much that I served in the United States Marines for 6 years and I became a cop for 27 years. This new version of the American dream, it's version 2.0. It's terrible. It's not the same as mine. Toil and build our lives over here. This person that committed this heinous crime could have been anybody. I'm not saying who it is, but chances are he was probably arrested and let go, because we have seen that far too often in the recent past. Look at the case in Georgia where the young lady was killed, right? Because we let a guy go and we didn't cooperate by turning him over to the federal government. Look at another case comes to mind in Iowa, Molly Tibbetts, and another case comes to mind here in the recent past. I can't think of it right now, but I'm here to say that not only do we need to refund the police, we need to repower the police.
Yes! Yes!
We need to retool them. We need to give them their tools back to let them do their jobs. We need DAs that's going to be willing to send the criminals to jail, prosecute them, and keep them in jail instead of letting them out. What good is it that Governor Hochul's new law making a felony to assault a retail worker? That was always a felony. It was called a robbery.
Yes!
So now it's just smoke and mirrors. What we need to do is put some judges back in there, give them their discretions back, let them keep the bad guys in jail, get some DAs in there, let them keep the bad guys in jail. That's what we need. Thank you very much.
Yeah!
Thank you, Steve. Pleasure. Our next candidate running for assembly covers the Flushing area. Very close to us because he's a former guardian angel who's become a chiropractor serving the community and has been involved in many, many community activities. I give you Assemblyman candidate Philip Wang.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for attending over here. My name is Dr. Philip Wang. I'm the candidate for Assembly District 40. I'm a Republican candidate. And today I'm very honored to stand over here, back up my community and my people here. And I want to use this in both languages to talk to you that I want to speak up over here that I want everybody to be aware that right now we have a law, it's called bail reform, cashless bail. So because of this bill, a lot of criminals are out there running around, and this causing a lot of chaotic situation, and also that is enhancing the crimes to be happening everywhere. I was deeply sorry about what happened to this young lady in the school over here. I used to work in this school before I became a guardian angel. I used to work in the summer camp over here. This used to be a beautiful neighborhood. I'm sure all of you came to this country not because you want to come here and get robbed and get sexually attacked, assaulted. You came to the country for American dream. You work hard, you paid your taxes. I just got out of work. So I'm working very hard, I'm paying my taxes, and I'm running around to serve my community. And I'm sure you guys came here all for a dream. You want to have a better life, you want to have a better future, and also for your children. You work your butt off just to provide your family, okay? So this cannot be happening. Basically, this happened is part of the reason is because we're short of police power. Just like the sergeant, our sergeant Kenneth Peck, also our candidate said, every 2 officers that left the job, we're going to replenish 0.75 of 1 officer. So we're losing more police power than we're getting police power. And on top of it, our incumbent, the Democrats, wants to defund the police, which is ridiculous. Okay. This is not right. We have to fully fund our police.
Exactly.
If my friend Steve was on the field, I don't want him anything to happen. Many of you have friends and family running to protect us, and you have to do your best to back them up, not just because that something happened bad in the South, in other states, and you want to defund the police. We not only mentally support, we have to also give them physical help as well too. And today, I want to tell everybody that you have to look at the problem directly. Now, the streets are getting unsafe, the public safety is going down, and besides fully fund the police, we still have many other problems besides the funds. We also have the law problem, which is causing a lot of tied-ups to our police officers who cannot reinforce their jobs correctly. We have to get rid of these laws and make sure the laws are correct so they can do their jobs. And I wish everybody to stay safe, and from now on, please watch out your children. Before we can change the law, me and Steve and the rest of the candidates could go to Albany, we have to stick together and keep this neighborhood safe. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
He's been a lifelong activist here at Chinatown, then moved over to Brooklyn, where he won a hard-fought battle in order to win an assemblymatic seat. I give you Assemblyman Lester Chang.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Lester Chang, Assemblyman, represent South Brooklyn. My hearts definitely go out to the rape victim and the male companion. I'm sure that's going to be a lifelong trauma for them, very lifelong. I served nearly 24 years in the Navy, served a tour in Afghanistan. Retired several years ago before I ran a very hard-fought race to represent my community. I'm the first and only Chinese Republican in a whole statewide elected official, first and only one. Behind me are my reinforcement that I expect them, all of them, to be in November. It's hard to be lonely by the top, but I expect behind me will help me for our cause. 2 months ago, I introduced a bill to help NYPD. Now we know why NYPD don't want to be recruited. Because New York City Council stripped away their qualified immunity. Can you imagine doing your job and get sued? So I introduced a bill to overturn that ridiculous law. That de Blasio signed that. But guess what? The Democrats held my bill on holding pattern to black hole. I need my reinforcement to resurrect that bill and push forward and help NYPD to get back the qualified immunity that they deserve, that they should have. Give back their tools. One thing you hear all those politicians, especially the Democrats, talk about crime rate has gone down. Yes, those are hard crime rates, murder, rape. But they haven't talked about petty larceny, the small stuff, the shoplifting, the quality of life violations that hasn't been reported. If they were fully reported, it would rocket through the moon, even past Mars. Even Governor Hochul identified that. She passed some legislation and some bills just to put that retail crime on special task force. But it's already late. It's spreading. Folks, this is a very serious incident that happened, and it should not have happened. I came here from Brooklyn because when I read that report, it pains me. I have 3 girls around that same age. And I'm sure all of us as parents don't want to hear that traumatic violence due to them. It's hard. We cannot allow that. And if that perpetrator was a migrant, if that perpetrator was a revolving door justice, we need to shut that down.
Right.
We need to shut down that cashless bail reform. We need the tools back for NYPD. We need to have account the DAs to put back the laws that they're supposed to, enforce the laws. Curtis, Sliwa, and the Guardian Angels are only a part of the problems, part of the solution. They try their best, but it's the other side of the DA. They need to enforce, they need to prosecute, they need to jail these perps. And without their cooperation, this is going to be revolving justice with no end in sight. Curtis, thank you very much to hold this, because this is what we needed. We need to wake up New York. We need to wake up the neighborhood. We need to wake up every community what has happened. We need to remind the elected officials who doesn't support us or progressive, but the people has spoken. This is nonsense. Thank you, Curtis. Thank you very much. Thank you for all.
Just to recap, it's a clear choice. You can go with the law and order slate that the GOP provides you.
Yeah.
Or you can go with the incumbent Democrats, Tobian Stavitsky, Kim, Rosick, all three who promoted and voted for no cash bail and voted and promoted the concept of defunding the police. We have a public advocate who wants to defund the police. We have a city controller who wants to defund the police, a majority of the city council, a majority of the state senate, a majority of the state assembly. I don't know how they can face their constituents when they see a horrible crime like this and other crimes that are taking place throughout New York City and continue to perpetuate the notion that we need less police and we need no cash bail. So in November, there'll be an obvious choice. Three of our GOP candidates are here who are taking on Stavitsky, Kim, and Rosick. It's a clear choice for the people of Flushing and the surrounding areas. That will be up to the people to make their decision in November. But more importantly, whether our GOP slate wins or the Democrats continue to be the incumbent, help is on the way. When the police can no longer be here or are removed because a suspect has been captured, indicted, and hopefully convicted, then the Guardian Angels will move in from Flushing, where we patrol Main Street, to stabilize Kissena Park and begin training parents and grandparents so that when school comes back into session in September on a regular basis, when the children leave and come into this beautiful park that I've been in many, many times, they'll know that they can be safe and secure, because we know at this point we don't have enough police. There are only 32,000. We need 38,000 police, and the only way we're going to get it is if we elect a slate of law and order Republicans who are running in this November. So I want to thank everybody for assembling here. Again, let's give a great round of applause to the police who have been in the park 24/7.
We support NYPD! NYPD! We support NYPD! We support NYPD! We support NYPD!
They made a full effort. I've seen the drone areas of the park, and they're covering every square inch. They're doing all they can humanly do and technologically do. But we know it can't be to fill the gap with Guardian Angels and parent and grandparent patrollers, and more importantly, pressure. Imagine it, and nobody has put it back. Adams and nobody else has put it back. We could have had that $1 billion put back into the police budget, maybe nourished it even more, so that we could have had a solid 38,000 police who are not forced to work continuous overtime to the point where they've decided to give up their career in the NYPD after 3 years and be recruited by Tucson, Arizona, and Newport News, Virginia, and Athens, Georgia. You can see the recruitment RVs coming in, and every other day, good men and good women who have matured as police here for 2 or 3 years are leading a new life as public safety officers in other venues They were trained here, they were recruited here, they were vetted here, and we're losing them here because we just don't have enough police. So we'll do what we can as citizens. We need to elect a GOP slate, the law and order slate, and most importantly, we gotta make sure we hire more police. So thanks for coming here today. Thank you.
Flushing for this case here, and what's your thoughts on the situation?
Well, we were asked to come out on Friday to Kissena Park, a day after the kidnap and the sexual assault of the young 13-year-old. Obviously, the suspect is still on the lam. We wanted to show support for the police, but we also wanted to rally up the community because a lot of time, and many times, these are the kind of crimes that make people pack their bags and leave. And there is a tremendous exodus out of New York City. So we wanted to reassure the people of Flushing, this vibrant, ever-growing Asian community of Chinese and Koreans, that they can improve and not move. But they got to fill in the void for the police. They got to patrol the area. They got to take care of their children and grandchildren, because right now we don't have enough police. And naturally, to elect the Republicans who are running in November, who are pro-police and will spend the money to hire more police and get rid of the no-cash bail.
Just in the last moments, you were mentioning about the migrant situation and you were criticizing Mayor Adams' ability on that. What do you want to, can you explain more on that? Like, why were you more critical towards the mayor?
Sure, everything we've told comes down to money. So de Blasio took $1 billion out of the police budget. It was never returned. Eric Adams took $4 billion out of the budget and spent it on migrants. No help from the federal government. You say to yourself, should that money have been spent on migrants, or should it have been spent to hire more police? Especially in the aftermath of the summer of George Floyd of 2020, when we lost a lot of police, and we see every day there's a demonstration somewhere in the city that requires police to accompany the demonstrators. There's not enough police, and we need that money to be spent to hire police.
So what are your thoughts on people that you might be fear-mongering in this area? What's your thoughts towards that?
Well, it's not fear-mongering, it's crime. I do not believe, as the mayor believes, that crime is down. I've yet to go to any community. In fact, I'm on my way to Brownsville after this, where the bullets are flying, where a 71-year-old man and a 69-year-old woman were shot and almost killed. And crime is just increasing everywhere. So if we don't get more police, then the citizens have to take matters into their own hands. We do it as guardian angels, but I'm sure there are citizens who can do it in other ways.
So could you tell us what your own personal reaction was when you heard about this thing that happened?
I had spent many years in Kissena Park and Flushing Meadow Park across the Van Wyck. They're magnificent parks. But to see this kind of a crime, I know it paralyzes a community. There are fathers and mothers, grandparents, who now are thinking about possibly moving. This has become a very vibrant Asian community. So I'm trying to say to the Asian community, no, don't be fearful and then flee. Stay and fight for what you know is right. Improve, don't move. If there are not enough police, that's what we're going to fight for on a political level with the Republican candidates who are law and order candidates. Then we're going to have the guardian angels in the park, and we're going to have parents patrolling the park to keep the children out of harm's way.
And what have local parents or even kids said in reaction to this horrible crime? What is their reaction right now?
They're fearful. They're less likely to come into the park. And when you leave the park empty, more criminals come into the park, more negative influences. We need more adults, more children in the park, as it's always been. When I first came into Kissena Park 60 years ago, I was just a young boy. It was a beautiful park then, it's a beautiful park now. In the middle of a thriving urban area, you need a park like this, and Flushing Meadow Park, to be safe and secure for everybody.
And what more should the government be doing? I know with the Common Sense Caucus, they're trying to pass laws against the illegal immigrant situation. What else should the government be doing?
The migrant situation is getting worse by the day, especially with the Venezuelans who were removed from the jails of Venezuela and sent here, as Castro had done likewise in 1980 with the Mariolito boat lift. The president then was Jimmy Carter. It was a disaster. The president now, Joe Biden. This is a disaster. Every other day we see Venezuelan thugs, gangbangers. The other day, pistol whipping an off-duty cop with a machine gun, stealing his BMW as he was off-duty. This is only going to get worse. It ain't going to get better. And Eric Adams has only himself to blame because he rolled out the red carpet and he welcomed them.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
Appreciate it.
Ernest for mayor.
Why 38,000? Why these numbers? Can you expound on that a little bit? Why do we need 38,000 please?
Sure. When you look at the analytics of when the city was safer and more secure and the cops didn't have to work required overtime, because this is what's driving the police out of the department. Sometimes working 6, 7 straight days required overtime, and they had it. If you have 38,000, you'll have a balance. The men and women will work their shifts. Sure, they want a little bit of overtime, but not to the fact that they have to mandatorily work 6 or 7 days. That's just going to drive them out. With 32,000, that's what's required. When you have 38,000, it's a balanced police force. Everybody does their fair share in keeping the city safe with a little bit of overtime, and you're going to have police officers who are much more satisfied to continue doing either 20 years or more. Now they're leaving after 3, 4 years, and that's just going to increase. That's not going to slow down.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the suspect has not been apprehended yet. Is that correct?
That is correct. The suspect is on the lam. We don't know who he is, what his background is. Could be homeless, emotionally disturbed, an American, or maybe he's a migrant, or maybe he's somebody who lives in the immediate area, or maybe from a distant area. Right now, obviously, we expect the police that have the best forensic detail in America to be able to track him down, and then hopefully he gets indicted and he does time for his crimes. But it will leave an indelible scar on the psyche of the people who live in this area, because these are one of those kind of crimes that are memorable. Like Kitty Genovese, I can still remember that crime when I was a little boy in Forest Hills on Austin Street. There are some crimes that take place people will never forget.
Thank you.
That's what they need.
What brings you to this park today and to this rally?
Well, I live right in the building right over there across the street, and what brings me here is the concern for what's going on in the neighborhood. You know, what had happened is really a total disgrace, and it shouldn't happen anywhere, actually. So the concerns for the people and for all my neighbors and everything like that, that's my main concern. You know, bring justice to where justice is needed.
Can it tie running for state senate against Nelly Rosick?
Yes, I am. I'm running against Nelly Rosick, District 25 here in Queens.
Just tell me, what brings you to this rally in a neighboring district in Flushing, and your thoughts on the situation that took place?
Well, I'm a retired sergeant from New York City Police Department. My last job title was a public safety sergeant here at 109 Precinct, and I retired last year. That is because I realized that my hands are handcuffed, my legs are shackled, and I cannot effectively force or engage in police duties. All these rules and regulations that are implemented by these idiotic politicians, they have no concerns to public safety, to our residents here in New York City and New York State. The result of no cash bail reform and the defund the police, this tragic event that took place in this park was 100% preventable. And I'm here because I got invited by Mr. Curtis, and he also endorsed me for my campaign, that he thinks that I'm the perfect candidate for this. Like I was telling people, the problem that we're having in the city, this is a 100% correctable problem, but none of these city or state elected officials not doing anything about it. They are turning blind eyes on these issues, especially the crime rate that's happening here in the city. And I am here to fix it, but in order to do that, I am going to need your vote. I'm having a primary on June 25. Please be out there, vote for me so that I can lead you guys to a safer environment, a livable city, affordable city, fear without a fear. Thank you.
hard question.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about
Yes. Yes.
some voters or some people feel that maybe someone like Curtis Sliwa coming from cities could be using fear-mongering tactics? What's your reaction?
Okay, so for the last couple of months, I've been knocking on doors, trying to meet my voters, and whether they're Republicans or the Democrats, their main concern was the crimes that's happening in the city, in our neighborhood, and also these illegal migrants running amok in the city, and they're also part of this crime wave that's happening in the city. Whether you're Republican or Democrats, our common sense, our common goal is the same, meaning living in safer environment, live without a fear. So yes, whether this is like a blue state or blue city, but again, I'm here with the right message, trying to make this problem, fix it, and go away. Again, this is a 100% practical problems.
Now, with the large NYPD presence here, you retired from the NYPD
Yes.
last year.
Here in this
Precinct.
yes. So I just want to let you know that I was also a patrol supervisor here in 109 precinct. I believe, according to stats, we're supposed to have 12 to 10 RMP, which is a patrol squad cars. However, after they defund the police, I'm lucky to have 3 patrol cars, and I am one of them, to patrolling approximately 300,000 people that lives in Flushing in confines of 109 precinct. Of course, we're short-handed. The police officer needs more police officer to help carry that load, the response to all these 911 calls.
You have anything else you want to say?
The one last word is, I served country by enlisting the United States Navy for 4 years, and I served community. I was a police officer here, I was a detective here, I was a sergeant here. Now I want to serve my people so that I can lead them to a safer environment, affordable city, and also live without fear. I was always telling my voters, please call me. You don't have to call me on your good days. Please call me on your bad days with your worries, with your concerns, with ideas, so that we can implement, we can improve our district here. Please go out there, vote for me on June 25. Thank you so much.
Kenneth Hayek running for the 24th Assembly, Republican candidate, running in the
25th district, yes sir.
And you have a primary.
I have a primary on June 25, yes.
And then obviously if you win the primary.
Then I'll go in the general elections. Yes. Yep.
Thank you very much. Good day.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, you're running for state assembly in Woodside, right?
Correct.
Just tell me, what brings you to Flushing for this rally, or that took place here, and your guys on the situation that took place here?
Yeah, well, first, so once I found out about the incident, it was absolutely terrible. I have found out about this event happening today by Sliwa's team and by some of the other candidates. We're really trying to be a united front this year, because I really feel like that there's been a lack of a GOP presence here in New York. But the way that we start change is through Queens. This is one of the areas where people are starting to wake up. My family, friends, business owners, parents, they're all starting to waking up, realizing that New York City is starting to become a dangerous place. Our children, our parents do not want them walking around here. I feel like a lot of our parks, a lot of our schools, if you walk under the subway system, it's absolutely dreadful. And I really feel like it's time for change. I'm the youngest candidate running in Queens this year, and 24, yeah. So I literally just graduated from college last year, and I really feel like that there's been the lack of balance and dialogue that most of the people here can actually relate to. Quality of life, cleaning up our streets, protecting our children, protecting our families, protecting our business owners too. Those are things that anybody can relate to, and I really feel like we have a very competent team. We have a very powerful slate. This is the year that we're going to make a lot of change, and no matter what happens, 2026, 2028, 2030 is going to look that much better as well.
Okay. Now, I want to peek into this situation here.
Sure.
A lot of residents obviously are shocked by it, but some, astute observers do see someone like Curtis Sliwa or maybe people running in politics could be using it as a fear-mongering tactic for the elections. What's your thoughts on people that would say that? Astute observers in the area.
Of course. Well, naturally, whenever any incident happens, elected officials are going to naturally talk about it. Candidates are going to naturally talk about it too. But this is a prime example of the lack of leadership, a lack of accountability. Our elected officials are quiet when it comes to a lot of these incidents. So if it's not us that's making noise and speaking up on behalf of the families, on behalf of the parents, on behalf of the community here, if it's not for us, then no one else is going to be doing it for us. If it's not for us speaking up on behalf of our police, our safety here, then no one else is going to do that. Our elected officials are silent. And when I say elected officials, I mean, or should I say like the lack of leadership when it comes to our Democrat super majority here. In probably the most progressive city, in one of the most progressive states. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about these things, but it's become a huge problem. And I feel that we need us to bring that balance back.
All right. And who's the assemblyman or assemblywoman you're running against?
So the current incumbent for my seat is Stephen Raga. He's only been there for about 1 year.
That's Jackson Heights, Woodside, right?
Yeah, I guess I have little bits of Jackson Heights, but like the redistricting lines is not as much.
I mean, you were on basically on a 7-line tour essentially.
Yeah.
So, what have you've been canvassing, obviously. What have constituents told you about the situation in their neighborhood?
Yeah, well, some of the biggest problems are what you hear a lot of conservative candidates say, quality of life. And when I say quality of life, specifically retail theft, a lot of crime that has been going on. Some of the business owners, not some, many of the business owners feel that they cannot defend themselves, they cannot defend their storefront. They just feel like if they were to defend their property, that they're going to be the ones arrested for that. If they were to call the police, it takes way too long. We have a lack of a police presence, and the police presence that we do have, they're already occupied. It takes way too long that criminals are actively getting away with it. So crime is always a huge issue there too. The lack of affordability, sorry, I couldn't say that word. The fact that things cost way too much over there has always been a huge problem. So it's the cost of living, it's the quality of life. Prostitution is also something that's is becoming a bigger problem in my area too. Since I have much of Roosevelt Avenue, so once you go past 52nd Street, 61st Street, and once the numbers go higher, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It's almost becoming like a red light district. So we need to bring a voice to that so that our communities don't become the Wild West.
Thank you very much. Can you spell your name?
Sir, Brandon Castro, that is BRANDON. Last name CASTRO.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Let me give you.
We have about